To make enough chilli for 6, you'll need 1 pepper, a red, orange or yellow one, 1 onion, 1 clove of garlic, 1 teaspoon of vegetable oil, a tin of chopped tomatoes, look for a 400-gram tin, 2 to 3 teaspoons of chilli flakes, although you might want to add more if you like it quite spicy, a teaspoon of cayenne pepper, a vegetable stock cube and water to make this up. You'll also need some black pepper for seasoning. We've used 4 different tinned beans and vegetables in our chilli, but using at least 3 small tins, around 200 grams of the following, should be enough to make the chilli for 6 people. Sweet corn, kidney beans, chickpeas, butter beans or broad beans. You may also want some rice and a dollop of natural or Greek yogurt to serve with your chilli. For this recipe you'll need 4 bowls, a chopping board, a knife, 2 saucepans, one for the rice, a dessert spoon, a teaspoon, a tin opener and a wooden spoon. Remember to wash your hands thoroughly before handling food.
My name's Nikki and I'm going to cook 3 bean chilli, and it's a vegetarian dish and very healthy. Alright, I've washed this pepper already. I'm going to score around the top here and pull out that and pop it in a bowl. Put that on the compost heap later. And then we'll shake out all the seeds and pull out any bits that are in there. And then I'm going to cut it in half. And then make sure all the seeds are out. Right, now carefully I'm going to cut it into strips, keeping my fingers away from the knife. By the time it gets to the small bit, be very careful. Then I find it's better if you put the bits on their sides and then cut them into small pieces. Again, being careful not to cut your fingers. And then once that's all done, we can put that into a bowl. Now we need to cut the onion up and cut the top off and peel all the dry skin away. And the bit on the top there is not very nice, so we'll cut that layer off as well. There we are. And it's useful to actually leave some of the root on because it actually holds it together, but if we take just the worst of the bits off. Bit of a tough boy. Right, now if we cut it in half, and put him face down. Now this tiny little bit at the top there that's still not very nice, so we pop that there. And that can all go in the compost again. Now if we cut it down into stripes, not quite going to the end, it holds it all in one piece. And then we can Again, be careful with your fingers. When it gets to the end, you put it down that way, you can cut that bit off there as well. Then that bit can go in the compost. Right, to peel the garlic, I find it easier to put it like that and give it a squash, and then you can just peel all the papery edge off. Then cut the rooty bit off. Now I find if you squash the garlic and just literally, oops, it's not going to play my game, is it? Run the knife up and down the garlic, chops it up nice and small. I'm going to put a little bit of olive oil in the bottom, about a teaspoonful. Right, now once the oil is nice and warm, we can start adding the onions. Give them a little stir around. Keep them moving and then add the peppers. And then the garlic. Right, you can turn that down a little bit now. While that's gently cooking in the saucepan, we'll get the vegetables ready. Got the tin of beans, we'll open that. Now, as you can see, there's lots of sort of gloopy red stuff in there, so we'll drain that off through a colander. And then we can put the tins over there and they can be recycled. And then we can do the sweet corn the same. And then we'll just rinse those under the tap. Right, we've rinsed those through now. So we'll give the onions another stir, and they're just coming nicely. They're starting to go nice and not clear, but more transparent. And it's starting to all look nicely cooked. So we now need to open the tomatoes. Now we're going to want the juice and the tomato pulp from there as well. So now we can add the beans to the mix. And the tomatoes. And I'll fill the tomato tin up about halfway with water, and swish it around and put that back in there as well. So I'll just go and get that from the sink. Right, now I'll put a little bit of this in here. I won't put it all in, I'll leave the rest over there and see how thick it gets. If it gets very thick, we'll add some more, but if it looks quite thin, we'll leave it with just that amount of liquid. Then we'll crumble in the stock cube. And 2 spoonfuls of tomato puree. Give that all a good stir. I think that'll need a little bit more water. Right, now we're going to add the other beans. So we're going to use chickpeas, and you can either use just 3, or if you want to, you can add an extra one, depending on how many beans you want. We can pop those in there as well, and that's all our beans in there, and give it a good stir again. And again, you may need to turn it up a little bit to get it back up to simmering point, and I think I'll add a little bit more water. And whilst that's coming up to the simmering point, I'm going to get some boiling water and pop it in a saucepan, ready to cook the rice. And you can either weigh out the rice, which is roughly about 75 grams per person, or if you use a mug, it's roughly about a mug for 2 people. So we can pop that in the saucepan there with the hot water and switch that on, ready to go. As that's simmering now, we can just add the last little bits. And what we'll do is we'll do it over a bowl, whoops, because we don't want too much coming out over the saucepan, otherwise it would be too hot. So about a teaspoonful of that, and pop that into the saucepan and give it a good stir. And now we need 2 teaspoonfuls of the chilli flakes. That's 1. And that's number 2. Obviously, the more chilli flakes and cayenne pepper you put into it, the hotter it'll be. So you may decide that you'd like to put a little bit less or a little bit more in to suit your tastes. Right, the rice is just about ready now. You can test it by using a teaspoon and just pulling a few grains out, leaving them to cool, otherwise you're going to burn your fingers, and just test them. The rice should be just a little bit, not chewy, but got a little bit of bite to it. So that's all done now. So what I'm going to do now is strain this, so I'm going to switch it off and take it over to the sink and drain it and pour some boiling water over it to get rid of the starch on it. Alright, so I'll take this over to the sink. Right, so we've drained and rinsed the rice. Now we can get the plate, or we can switch this off as well. We can get the rice, we can pop a nice helping of the rice I tend to make a hole in the middle of the rice, and we can put a nice helping of the chilli in the middle. There we are. And there we are, ready to eat. You could add a nice tablespoonful of yoghurt to that if you wanted to.
You may be familiar with red kidney beans and chickpeas from eating curries and chilies, but eating a dish made entirely from beans and vegetables may be new to you and your family. Most supermarkets stock a wide range of tinned beans and vegetables, and you can easily adapt this recipe, trying different combinations to find a mix that you really enjoy. Beans are a great, cost-effective, low-fat source of protein, and by mixing them with vegetables and serving with rice and yoghurt, you are getting a really well-balanced meal.